Right, well, good morning all from a lovely, warm and sunny Brigton. We are delighted to be joined today by Steven McNee. Steven is the founder and managing director of a highly successful electrical contracting and solar business in Glasgow. Thanks for coming along today, Steven.
No problem at all. Pleasure to be here.
So, as we like to, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of who you are, what you do, all that fun stuff in a minute. But as we like to do with all our guests, mate, take us back to where it all started for young Steven. So, as we say in Glasgow, where are you fae? What was your upbringing like? Childhood, brothers, sisters? Just share as much as you're willing to share, mate.
Aye, so I'm a bit of an outland. I'm not actually from Glasgow, from Dunoon originally. So, grew up in Dunoon. Mum, dad, two older brothers. So, I was the bully victim through the whole age group. Like, one was... Ian's 8 years older and Alan's 5, so I was just honestly the bully victim. But I had a few good fights and stuff like that through the years. I think kind of toughened me up for the years. Just to be honest, quite a normal childhood. To be honest, no sort of rag to riches story or anything like that way. Like, quite a good childhood. Like, mum and dad both worked hard. Dad had quite a successful business at the time when we were younger. So,
right, okay.
To be honest, we kind of had good holidays, all that sort of stuff. But don't get me wrong, we still had to work hard, but we got kind of well looked after, to be honest with you.
What did your dad's business do?
It's a construction business. So done a lot of kind of his own property development, like land developments and so on. So you'd buy land, build houses, sell them, but also kind of construction contracting as well. So from a young age, seen him work like a madman, to be honest. But I know childhood was great, to be honest. Yeah, it was all around sport, all around kind of going on holiday, spend time with the family, and then fighting with the brothers, really. So.
How much older are your brothers?
So Ian's 8 years now and is 5 years older than us.
Right, okay, aye.
So I think I was the afterthought, I think. So, as I say to them, the third chance at the right one. So.
Have you bit of a gap there, was there?
I think it was the third attempt at a girl as well.
And you said Dunoon then, so that's interesting. So Dunoon it's not far away, Dunoon, is it? It's just across the water for you.
So from Gourock, but now we're away commute to get from.
Right, okay. What's Dunoon like? Is it small? Like,
population about 9,000.
Is it? Right,
When I was young, Dunoon was brilliant. Like, always say, like, Dunoon was absolutely amazing, and still my family still live over there. But it's a bit of a shame now. Like, kind of sport clubs are starting to die off and things like that. It's not as much kind of going on in the town anymore. But it was a great place to grow up. Like, you all said the kind of Glasgow. Like, obviously, you hear stories about differences in growing up, if that makes sense, but as youngsters in Dunoon, we were just let out loose, so you could literally go and do what you want. It was a safe place to be brought up, to be honest. There was no you're gonna fight in school and stuff like that, of course you would, but there was no real trouble, really. Like, you could find trouble if you wanted to, but it was a great place to grow up. You had to literally let out loose, and that whole story of just come back at 9 o'clock, like, that you were trusted to do that.
Bit of freedom.
Massively, you literally just go out with your mates, and just that freedom.
Street lights.
Like, I'm probably the last of that generation, really, if you know what I mean? Like, coming up without a mobile phone. But it was a great place that way. You just go out with your mates all day, play. There was like football, whatever you're doing. There was no real issues. I was going to say, apart from the occasional scrap with the older brothers, what other sort of, you mentioned sports and Dunoon and sports clubs. What were you into growing up? Every sport, to be honest. Like I said, sport was massive in our house growing up. So played a lot of football. Depends what standard you want to call it, but it was all right. Played football, badminton, golf, done quite a bit of swimming when I was younger as well. Kind of got into kind of snowboarding as well, and then tennis. So big mixture. Sport was massive.
Was that a competitive household?
Very. I think that's why like sport was driven. Even we'd go on holidays, like say you went to Centre Parks, for example, you'd get everything. You had to win. So get brought up. That's kind of maybe partly where I get that attitude from as well, but. No, it was great, the growing up sport wise, yeah.
Hi all, sorry to interrupt the podcast. We'll get back in just 30 seconds. This podcast is brought to you by Jolly Media Marketing. If you are a business owner and you're looking to grow your brand and generate more leads, then Jolly Media Marketing can help your business do exactly that. Our team focuses on video-first paid advertising. We create engaging content and we promote that using targeted campaigns that will consistently bring in new customer inquiries. We also help businesses with SEO and GEO, which is generative engine optimization, helping AI search engines like ChatGPT and Gemini find your brand. We also arrange podcast appearances, PR, out-of-home advertising using billboards, and organic LinkedIn strategy consultancy. All designed to help your brand be seen and help new customer inquiries arrive into the business every single week. To learn more about how we help businesses grow and to see if we can do the exact same for your local business, go and visit our website at www.jollymediamarketing.com. How was young Steven in school?
Again, depends who you ask, I think. To be honest, I got on pretty well in school. Don't know, I didn't enjoy it. Especially into high school, didn't enjoy school, so I wanted out, wanted to go and work. But yeah, I was quite, born my own trumpet, I was quite clever in school, got on well in exams. I was getting into a wee bit of trouble, like say, the odd fight here and there, same as every boy does. But I know school was pretty easy, to be honest. Yeah, not really up or down. Just wanted out, to be honest, at a certain point.
Yeah, you were ready to leave. And was there any subjects you gravitated to in school?
PE, naturally. PE, I loved kind of techie, like craft and design and graphcom as well. That's what we called it. So it's a techie drawing.
Aye.
But actually kind of PE and technical. So I was always kind of more on that kind of hands-on learning. I think that's why when I say I get bored in school and wanted out, I really struggled with sitting in the classroom. Like exam-wise and so on, I was fine, but I kind of refused to study. Would not study at school, but just done quite well in exams. But anything hands-on, I was taken to. So
Aye. I can empathise with that, mate, definitely. I still, to this day, I was having to learn to do something not too long ago, certainly in the last 3 years, and I remember saying to my wife, who's a teacher, we're the polar opposite, she's like an academic through and through. I remember saying to her, like, how do you study? She'd be like, what are you talking about? I'd be like, well, how do you study? Like, what does that actually mean? How do I study to pass this thing? She was like, just read it over and over and over again, or write it over and over and over again till it sticks in your head. And I'm like, that sounds so boring.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. Honestly,
even to this day, like,
yeah, no, I just couldn't do it. Couldn't sit still enough. Most of the point. But I had this daft kind of thing in my head, was that I always said, even homework, I said, if I had to do homework or studying out of school, someone's not done their job. Really horrible thing to kind of say, because teachers work hard. I know people now are teachers, and it's a horrible job at times. You know what I mean? But I had this stupid thing in my head that I shouldn't need to study. I should learn it in school and move on. I think again, all I want to do is play sports out with school. I had no interest in doing anything.
And do you think that whole, like, that's the first time I've ever heard anybody put that way about studying? I really like that, actually. I'll not tell my daughters that when they get older.
I wouldn't be telling that boy that.
That makes too much sense. But do you remember, obviously, growing up with your dad in his construction business? What was that like? Because it sounds like you kind of gravitated to subjects that were maybe more hands-on, like the construction business.
No, definitely, yeah. Like, we were always kind of involved in that. Like, so me and my two brothers all kind of end up serving apprenticeships in the kind of business, so we're always involved, and even at a young age, like, I was obsessed with it. Like, you just wanted to, everyone says, you want to be a dad when you're younger, don't you? And he was out and about, and kind of school holidays, I'd go out and follow him around building sites at 5-6 years old, and kind of put my wee work boots on. You thought you were kind of part of the team, but no, I was always kind of involved in that environment. Like, again, like playing in building sites, literally, you couldn't get away with it nowadays because health and safety is a whole different ball game now. But as a wee guy, I'd done building sites with diggers, machinery, driving around and all sorts, climbing the scaffolds and so on. I hope no one's listening to pull me up on that, but no, honestly, it was great that way. So I was always involved, always kind of quite hands-on.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. If you're climbing up scaffoldings, I can't even get up them these days.
See, to be fair, you were probably one of the first clients that I remember being on scaffolding with, doing a bit of filming, and I remember thinking, you're very comfortable on this, while I was like a newborn giraffe, petrified, trying to get up this scaffolding.
I remember Nicola trying to get photos of you.
Anybody that can go up scaffolding like that, man, fair play to you, because I'm
all right, mate. And was there any, like, after education, or was it just once school was done, it was right, I'm out of this and I want to just start working?
Basically, yeah, I just made my mind up. I wanted to get out of school. Like, it was kind of maybe 15. I was in between maybe going to uni to be an architect or becoming an electrician, and chose the electrician route for some reason, but it's worked out well enough. But yeah, I left school at 15 and started my apprenticeship. I left school in May and then started, like, say it was a Friday, and started my apprenticeship on the Monday straight after. So
right, okay.
I was really young to be starting an apprenticeship, but I was ready for it. I was ready to just get out and start working and making money. Like, it was kind of drummed into us that you had to make your own money and make your own way. So I was just determined that's what I wanted to do, and get going with it.
And I think as a guy, apprenticeships in the beginning can often be quite tough. Like, you're tested, you're almost bullied a lot of the times in construction environments. Was that a bit softer for you because it was in your dad's company, or were you treated harder, if anything, because you were like the boss's son?
Worse, definitely, yeah. Like, again, I think it was a bit of kind of character building. Like, you just had to get on with it. Like, you're right, being the boss's son, it could be difficult at times, but I always said you had to be the hardest worker in the room. Even since I was young that way, I always said that, like, you're always going to get treated with that wee bit of, I don't know, people thinking, oh, it's just the boss's son, but I always made a point of making sure I was the hardest worker in the room. Like even at 15, 16, like basically work your arse off so that no one can kind of judge you otherwise. But in terms of the kind of building site antics, I probably got it worse.
I can imagine that.
Again, maybe with being the boss's son at times, who are you going to go run to and tell? Couldn't really go and report it to management, could I? So
I actually think, so we know a couple of people that are involved in family businesses, like good close mates that have maybe taken over for parents, and we've had loads of people on the podcast now that have taken the same journey as you, and I actually think there's maybe a bit of an unwarranted viewpoint that you get it easy, you stroll into this business and it's all handed to you in a plate. I get a sense that it's 10 times harder, that you're constantly having to prove your worth because people do just think, well, that's just the gaffer's son or the gaffer's daughter. Or
100%. It's the ones that's a good place to learn, though, because the pressure's on you right from the start, I found. Honestly, from starting my apprenticeship at 15, you had to be good. Because if you're crap at what you're doing, the guys would just judge you. He's only here because it's the boss's son. Whereas if you prove yourself to be good, then you get a bit more respect out of it. But no, it is a tough place to, especially serve your apprenticeship.
Did your brothers do the same?
They'd done the same, yeah. So they both done joinery apprenticeships. So I just wasn't quite as good at woodwork.
Went down the spark route.
Yeah, exactly. But it was generally a really kind of big family business. So when I started my apprenticeship, I had 2 of my tradesmen from my cousins, and one was my uncle as well. So it was just weird how the electrical side of the business had a lot of family in it. And then it was also all the sort of cousins, stuff like that from the business as well. So there was a big family element to it. But no, it was a great place to get brought up in terms of learning as well. You got your apprenticeship, but I loved the other side of it as a wee guy. So I'd be in the house and there'd be people coming from meetings or even just job interviews that my dad would be holding at night time. I'd just sit and listen in. I absolutely loved that side of it. Like
the business side, yeah.
Even before I started my apprenticeship, I was doing that, and I absolutely loved that business side of it, and it really grasped me quite early on. Just hearing the kind of ins and outs, and at that age I was probably privy to a lot of conversations that no one else would be privy to, because I put myself in that situation, just sit and listen, really.
And do you think back then, because it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like that was always your plan? It was get through school as soon as you can and get into the working world?
Yeah, it was.
And see, when you were sitting on the conversations, was that the first time, do you remember ever thinking about, well, I think I could do this one day? Get my own business?
Yeah, I think I also seen my dad doing it, and it's like he also had a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on him. I think at one point, he had about 110 staff at one point at his peak.
Jesus,
so it was an absolute animal. It really was an animal. But I always remember thinking, I can handle that pressure. And he enjoyed it. Like, don't get me wrong, same as everyone in business. You have awful times, you have good times. Let's face it. But I always remember sitting thinking, I could fancy a bit of that. Then like I said, the apprenticeship, and then just seeing that other side to it as well. Even when I was doing my apprenticeship, I was probably a bit different in the way as, like I said, always working hard. I was always thinking about the business needs to make money. So we need to get this done quick. We need to get it done right. And because I'd always heard the conversations in the background. So rather than just getting through your apprenticeship on a normal route, if that makes sense, I always had that bit of pressure of this needs to get done quickly so that the business makes money.
Right, okay, aye.
So I think I always had that kind of pressure on myself.
Excuse my ignorance, but how long is an apprenticeship for an electrician?
So it's kind of 3 to 4 years, depending how fast you progress. So you do 3 years at college, and that's your kind of 3-year apprenticeship as such. And then as soon as you've done your 3 years, you can apply for your FICA, which is your final assessment. So you can apply for that straight away, but a lot of people will wait until they're ready. So they might wait 6 months, 7 months. Luckily enough, I actually passed my skills, so finished college and then went straight into my FICA like weeks later. So I think at the time I was actually Scotland's youngest ever qualified electrician at the time.
Right, wow.
So I just went for it straight away. Again, just wanted to get going again. Was ready for it, to be honest, but didn't want to wait, just wanted to get going.
And once you passed it, I don't even know if that's the right term, passed it as if you're in the army. Did you kick about in your dad's business for a while?
Yeah. So I was there for, when did I pass my skills test? 2013, and then I left to go and mow at 2016. So I was there for just about 3 years.
Okay.
So again, even during that kind of last year of my apprenticeship, I started taking a lot of responsibility as well. So I was kind of helping to run jobs and managing others, which again the other guys were fine with, because I kind of proving myself to be capable.
There's that respect there.
But I just got involved in kind of management pretty early on.
And what was the kind of work you were doing? So we'll get into what you do nowadays, right? But back then, when you were an apprentice and you were just into what sort of electrical work was it that you were involved in and starting to lead on?
So to be honest with you, kind of great apprenticeship in doing, like, anywhere kind of Dunoon or kind of smaller town areas, there's not that many companies in these sort of areas. So as an electrician, you had to do a bit of everything. So we had to do domestic, you had to do commercial, industrial, had to do testing, had to do every part of the trade. Whereas in kind of more populated places like Glasgow, we've found that since, I'm kind of jumping on a wee bit, but a lot of companies up here will specialise in the one thing, whereas back in Dunoon we had to do a bit of everything. So one day we could be wiring a £1 million new build house, next day you could be rewiring a 1-bed social housing home, and the next day you could be working in a hospital. There was no, it was just the variance of work was incredible. So yeah, we'd actually do anything from school rewires, housing developments, rewires. One of my favourite jobs is a big rewire of an ambulance station in Dunoon. It's a great big job. But yeah, such a varied amount of work.
That's brilliant for a young person in the trade.
It was great, yeah, because then, skipping forward a wee bit, then when I kind of went to myself, I had such a varied experience. So honestly, it was a great apprenticeship.
And you said that, so you got qualified and you worked a further 3 years in the business. Right?
3 years, yeah.
And how did that conversation go when you decided it's time to go on your own and you had to phone your old man and go, right, Dad,
my notice is in?
To be honest, really well. It was probably the kind of timing was kind of right as well. So the kind of business, it all kind of restructured essentially and changed. So it ended up at one point it was a kind of quite a big electrical team. Towards the end when I was kind of leaving, if that makes sense, there wasn't as much work in Dunoon really. So there was a kind of far smaller team. So yeah, I just once I get. Sounds bad, but even though I love Dunoon, still go back to see the family and stuff like that, but I kind of got to the point where I wanted to kind of move on and get away. So yeah, it was kind of, the timing was kind of right, if that makes sense. Like, so when even to this day, the business SM Electrical still does the family business's electrical work, so we just kind of subcontract back in. So we've got an electrician that does the work, so the relationship still continued to a degree, but we just kind of parted ways, and me and the other guy working with us at the time kind of went my own way.
We never tempted to go, actually the stress of that, I'll just hang about here and take over my dad's at some point, like?
Yes, definitely at times, but probably with the kind of brothers been involved as well, no bad thing at all. There was going to be 3 of us trying to almost fight for that pedestal. And again, the kind of business was structured, there was probably more at the time when I kind of left, there was more staff in the general building side than what there was electrical, so they were better placed to be running new build jobs and building houses as such. Like, they guys, they know concrete foundations. I don't really, I mean, so and to be honest, I just wanted to do my own thing as well. I think I'd got to that point where I had to stay there and we would all kind of take our own bit of responsibility, or just forge your own way and go yourself.
Are your brothers still there?
Still there, yeah.
Are they still there?
Yeah. So they still enjoy it, I think. So.
Good. All right, and you so was your move to Glasgow in line with you going out alone and starting the business? Is that what drove you to Glasgow?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep. So
right, okay.
I actually started out, I think it was like 2 days after my 22nd birthday, something like that. So that's just relevant because I always remember it, just been so close to that. But I actually just decided to go for it, move to Glasgow, and because I was still doing work in Dunoon, because we're still doing work for the kind of the family business, but the kind of move coincided with starting out.
Was your thinking there, I need to be in a more kind of populous area where there's
more opportunity,
more work, more opportunity? Yeah,
aye. So like I said, seeing the kind of opportunity, especially for a kind of electrical company, not kind of diminish in the kind of small town as such. There was probably a lot more smaller companies all doing well, but no kind of larger companies like kind of electrical only really focused in the areas. Probably wasn't enough work to go around, so I kind of thought if kind of move away, bigger population, more workload to hopefully chase and go after.
Bigger chance. So talk us through that then. So there'll be loads of people that have thought about starting a business. How did you go about that first few days? So you had your birthday, 22nd birthday, and then you're like, right, I'm going to move from Dunoon to Glasgow and start a business. How did you go about that?
It was kind of different. So to be honest, I was actually possibly a bit unconventional. So I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but so I kind of decided I was going to go out on my own. So I decided that's it. Kind of plans were set in motion, going to go out on my own. But quite soon into that journey, I actually got an opportunity to take over another business, which is a bit of a kind of curveball.
Right.
Ended up not working out.
Right.
Overall, but yeah, so kind of come on to that. But basically, ended up an opportunity to take over another business that only had 2 staff at the time. So I was just kind of starting that journey working myself. So it's like me and my kind of mate working together, and then very, very quickly got on to that opportunity and just kind of took the risks really. Seen an opportunity to kind of quite quickly expand the business. So took over this other business, and had to go around the whole bank loan situation to get it. To be honest, had to finance it quite early on, which was tough at 22 because you had no assets, you had no, didn't have anything, didn't even have a mortgage or anything. I mean, so it was quite.
And also, mate, just having the balls to do that. To be honest, like it's a ballsy move when you're 22 years old. Like
it was, it was a risky one. Literally, because I've probably seen it as kind of trying to accelerate pretty quickly, and just an opportunity at the time I couldn't really turn down. And yeah, it was risky, but I thought it would work out. So yeah, got this opportunity to go for another business. To be honest, it didn't end up doing what it said in the tin, basically, and I sold the dream, to be honest with you. So I kind of older gentleman who was retiring. He had some council contracts that were tied up as such. Business plan was that, like I said, only 2 staff, quite a small turnover at the time, but it was more turnover than what we were doing as a fresh start out. So took over the business, I started operating within it, and I'll kind of fast forward, but within about 8 months, the council contracts that they had ended up magically disappearing from the business and going to the ex-owner's son.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so probably at the time it was a big learning curve, didn't do proper due diligence, really, it was a risk and I jumped into it probably head first. It's kind of the way I am, to be honest, is take a risk and see how it pans out. Don't get me wrong, it was a great experience. Like the business, even to this day, is still essentially the same limited business. Like not as if the business folded, didn't do anything like that. The business done well, but it just didn't quite pan out the way it was meant to. And it was quite a sickener, to be honest, quite early on. Like just started out on your own. I remember thinking, should I just stayed in my own lane and done my own thing, which essentially I was doing, but I took this risk to take over another business, and yeah, like I said, it didn't fail by any stretch of imagination. Like I said, it's still the same limited business to this day. It's just the contracts initially that I got sold the dream on just vanished within, I think it was about 8 months. So, and it was a sour note, to be honest, and kind of put a thing in my head ever since then, like how much do you really trust people in that sort of environment. Probably taught me quite early on to be quite ruthless and to
That's what I was going to say there, actually. So at this age, so 22 birthday, take that opportunity. 8 months later, it kind of starts unfolding. I mean, dare say we've spoken to quite a few people in this podcast, but the age of 22, you've probably had more, insight into business than most people that we've spoke to. You've bought a business, didn't go to plan, but you've still made it work. So that's mad, to be fair. Fair play to you for doing that.
Like I said, it depends what you can determine is worked. Like it did work, just definitely not the way we had panned out, and it took a big dent, if that makes sense. Like basically the loan that we took out, it was all based around these contracts, and to once the business plan was great, it was meant to pay itself back within like 2 or 3 years, just with the contracts alone, and if we could just expand on the existing workload and the client base. But the rug just got pulled from our carpet. Rug get pulled from under our feet pretty quickly. And but you learn, don't you, and move
That's
on.
it,
So
mate.
just,
I mean,
adapt and
I
go on
dare
with
say
it.
a lot of people would have had that experience, I think, and went, oh, this maybe isn't for me. Like it is a bit ruthless out there, but realistically, it's like you can do one or two things, right? You can just learn for it and go, right, I'm stronger for it as a result of it, and I won't make that mistake again.
Definitely,
you can just get in. Like you're
I
clearly
think
not giving in. So
I think the point of age probably was on my side there, if that makes sense. Like 22, it was, what else is there? It was a kick, but you're still young enough. I didn't have a family at the time, didn't really have any responsibilities. Like I still just thought, we'll just go again and just carry on, and plan doesn't change. So.
And so that aside, mate, I think sometimes, because we have moments like that, I have moments like this, right, where I think now when you've got like a more sizable team and you're doing all right, you sometimes forget like how hard it was in the beginning when you're just trying to get it going. There's no much happening. It feels like you go years where you're working your ass off and just like nothing's happening. The needle's no really moving as fast as you want it to move. How did you find that first year, 18 months of just trying to get things going and win business?
Exactly what you said. It was tough. It really was. It was really tough. Like, especially like just like say starting out, even though I took over that business, it was just even like 8 months later, it was start from afresh again, pretty much, just with client base, and you would do anything at that time just to win clients. So you've probably been there and done it. Like, it's probably a thing in the trade as well. You've just got to work hard. There's nothing else for it. You've just got to roll the sleeves up and work and take on jobs. I remember just taking on jobs, knowing from the outset wouldn't make any money on them. And it sounds crazy. There's no way we would do it now. Like, fortunately, we're in a good position. Like you say, we've got a team and a good business now. But at the time, it's just all about just win clients. And of course, we wasn't it for going to lose a fortune throughout the year, but it was knowing that the margins were tight as, and you weren't making much money and scraping by just to get that repeat business. And to once that's how it kind of built on, like just making relationships with people and proving your worth, and then over time that relationship kind of grows, and the business can.
So it's like almost taking on work that you might know that you're either not going to make a lot of money or any money on, but it gets a relationship going, so that when that individual then has another project that, Stephen done a great job last time, and then you can start to build on it and earn a wee bit more. And
exactly, I think every kind of trade business starting out is probably the same, or probably no different that way. It is, it's like you've got to get people to trust you, and they've got to get people to trust your work as well.
Were you doing domestic work when you first started, or were you straight into commercial stuff?
Initially, probably more domestic. It's probably easier when you start out to kind of focus on the domestic side. I always knew what to take the business, the kind of commercial industrial route, which is kind of where our strengths were. But initially, it is so much easier to win domestic work, to be honest. Like, to get into commercial industrial work, you've got to have more accreditations, you've got to have more of a background. Companies will do a bit more check on you. Don't get me wrong, we bluffed a few at times, and definitely bluffed a few. And it was one of our biggest client to date is one that we probably bluffed. Definitely bluffed at the time. It's definitely harder to win that kind of commercial industrial work. So just doing kind of extensions and EV chargers and kind of small domestic work at the time was far easier. But because it's similar to what I was saying there about building relationships, like just that comment I made about one of my biggest clients, it actually came through someone who he kind of tested me with low margin work. So a guy we'd done a lot of work with, and at one point I was getting fed up. He'd send you to go and change a socket in a flat, or change a light in a flat, or rewire a kitchen in a flat. And I remember thinking, this is crap work. Like, this is rubbish, not what I want to be doing. But I kept on going, and then he just got to trust us, and then we got an opportunity to work in a industrial factory with him that he looked after the building, and then from there a relationship grew with him, but also with that end user. And that end user ended up the worldwide business, who now we're the nominated electrical contractor for Scotland. And once we're now doing a lot down south with them now. Once we've just got like a £1 million contract with them for UK wide. So from going from fitting a socket in a flat and knowing I'm making a fiver here, and almost giving up on it and thinking this is crap, I just don't want to be doing this. But I think back, it was all just about building that relationship, and that guy was testing me at the time just to make sure that I had it. And then he brought me he introduced me to his best client at the time, and he became my best client. So it's a weird world.
That's very interesting though, because I don't know what you think of this, Stephen, but I'm admittedly not an expert in the electrical trade, but know quite a few electricians. And do you think even nowadays people miss a trick with that, where maybe not just electrical businesses, any businesses, they'll turn their nose up at work when they know they can do it because they maybe don't see the bigger picture that you're talking about?
Yeah, probably, yeah. And I think there's a bit of a kind of glamorous side, people think to being a trades business owner, and you see a lot on social media about do this, get off the tools very quickly, and that's not the reality. Like, you can go, and there's courses out there that say they can take you from 0 to X and get off the tools within so much time, but in my opinion that's really not the reality. You need to do the shit to get the good stuff. But yeah, it's definitely tough.
Challenging.
And I don't know if, again, it's maybe just my opinion, but I think when you have done the doing for a while, when it comes to then selling your guys doing the doing, I don't know, I guess there's a good reason why more often than not the person that's best at selling the stuff is the owner, and replacing that owner. Maybe not so much in your business in the solar side. I think you're doing quite well at that, mate, but many businesses I know really struggle getting that owner away for doing the sales because they're so good at it, and it's because they've came up having done like every part of it. So any question comes up, can answer it straight away. You've got other simple things like, you know, you can negotiate there and then because you hold the pen, right? But I do definitely think that maybe some people do rush to get off the tools really quickly, and then you maybe lose out on some of that practical experience, which actually helps you grow the business further on down the line anyway. Yeah,
definitely. Like, probably a very good point actually. Like, now I kind of do a lot of work like in the food and drink industry, to be honest, and they're our kind of main client base, and all these sites I've been there, I've worked on the tools, I've done their jobs, probably built up a bit of respect with the site staff. Strong along, there's a couple now as the kind of clients have moved into the business the last 2 or 3 years where I've not been in the tools. I don't have that on the tools experience. The team go out and deliver the jobs, but we had that kind of background of initially just proving our worth, and the kind of the facilities managers, engineering managers, and so on in these businesses you would get their trust very quickly by doing the hard work there. And it also good in the trades business as well. I always found that I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't. So when you've been there and done it, you can say, well, no, actually, I know that part of the site, I know that problem, I know what you're coming up against. Like, here's your solution. But yeah, you're right. It is hard to shift away from being in the tools to hand responsibility to other people. And in terms of growing a trades business, I think that's probably the biggest stumbling block. I don't know. You've probably spoke to other trades business owners, but when I think about it now, it's probably the hardest bit about growing a trades business is shifting that responsibility. Like, you spent years building up this trust and this core client base to then go and trust someone else with it. Yeah. And your trust is literally in them to deliver it. And
so
in
actually,
an electrical point of view, like safety wise as well. And
Barry and I are in a new community of kind of primarily Scottish business owners. I'll talk to you about that actually after the podcast. And last night, one of the guys who he's not in a trades business, but he does like commercial carpet cleaning, and he was saying, like, I'm 14 years in, I kind of feel like I'm becoming the bottleneck almost, but I'm really struggling with the thought of like handing it over to another technician, because it's taken me half a lifetime basically to get to a point where I've now got a good enough reputation that I'm winning all this big work. I was just looking for a bit of advice on it, and it's like, well, you don't need to do it. See, if you're happy with a lifestyle business and you're happy with just maximising profit, you know, you've got good work-life balance, then don't force yourself to do it. But if you want to scale, you don't have an option. It's inevitable, whether it's now, 2 months, 3 months, 9 months. You've only got so many hours in the day, so if you want to grow beyond what you're doing, you're going to need to put your trust in somebody. Why do you think that people in the trades in particular struggle with that, Stephen?
That's a good question. I think just what I was saying there, I think it's just you've spent years building up that baby, and it generally is your baby at times. So you're doing all the work, you're delivering, you're quoting, you're managing the jobs. Even if you've got a kind of team of electricians around you or other trades kind of team, you're still overseeing them. And I think it's just that you've spent years building that up, and it's the worry of you step away, let someone else look after it, or let someone else do the jobs without you overseeing it, and something goes wrong and you lose that client. It's a worry in a trades business. You've spent that time building it up, and you almost feel a bit of reliance on your client base. So you do rely on your client base, don't you, really? So I think it's just, and it sounds bad, but there's bad tradesmen out there. So when you trust other people who come into your business, you're then trusting them to deliver the work, the standards that you've set for years. Like, if you've got your good clients and you've delivered on time, delivered on budget, delivered good work year on year, job on job, and all of a sudden you give that to other members of the team and they don't deliver, it reflects on you. It's always going to reflect on the business owner, no matter what. Like, even today, if we've got a sizable kind of team now, if a job goes wrong, it's still my fault. You know what I mean? You can't get away from that. It's still my name in the door.
I relate to a lot of what you're saying, Stephen. I think it's like that quality, but we're not on the tools, right? But we are in the comparable. We are trying to get off the market in tools, right? And it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, because see, I've had a similar journey in a sense in my industry where I've kind of founded the business, learned how to do everything, and now passing it on. And sometimes I grapple with, is that a blessing or is it a burden? Because sometimes I wish I didn't know how to do it, because I'd delegate it quicker. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's a blessing that you know how to do all this electrical work, or now that you've got the team and it's growing, do you think sometimes it's a bit of a burden? I wish I didn't know so I could delegate.
That's a good point. I get into the electrical side. I love knowing everything. I like to think I know my stuff electrically, still technically, still good, still keep up to date with training courses and so on. So again, goes back to the point, I would never ask someone to do something that I couldn't do or wouldn't do. So yeah, you need to be able to be that focal point to know that Stephen knows how he wants this done, so we need to do it to his standards. I think that's big in our business, that the standards get driven day in, day out. But in terms of the kind of operational side of it, slightly different. That the certain side of the business I just don't really want to know about, as long as they're getting done, especially now as we're growing into the kind of renewable side. Like, it's like CRMs that you guys probably hate me saying this, but I've never been in the CRM.
Yeah.
Like, apart from I'll see a spreadsheet, it'll get reported to me and I'll speak about it, but I don't really want to be involved in that. As long as I know that we can trust people to look after it and run it, then that's great. But the technical side, I'll always want to look after.
Yeah.
But the kind of more operational side, that's where I think we can probably trust more people to deliver on and run their element of the work. But Yeah,
So it's having a good balance between what you're really good at and knowing that inside out and getting people to fill the gaps.
It's like probably learned that over the years as well. Like trying to do too much and run every part of the business. If you're trying to scale, just will not work. Like I've been there, done it, and you get burnt out. Like I've been the guy at 10 o'clock at night trying to quote an invoice and organise jobs, organise materials, and something will slip. So you need to be able to delegate to be able to scale it. But you are right as well, Brian. It's about the kind of happy medium, isn't it? You either a trades business have that probably niche of 2 or 3 guys working with you, and you can manage everything. You can look after everything and do really well. Like sometimes I laugh that we could probably make more profit going back to me and 3 other guys, but it's not really where we want to go. Because then you're in quality control and everything. It's an easier team to manage. Whereas when you start to delegate, things will slip at times. There's no getting away from that. Like you can't butter it up. Like it will, but it's staying on top of it and making sure that people have got their responsibilities and also not kind of micromanaging either. I think is quite a big thing. So.
Were you quite quick in your business journey to start hiring people and team members, or do you think that you left it longer than you should have done?
No, I probably hired too early in terms of bringing someone else into the business. You guys know Stuart. So Stuart came into the business probably too early on. Probably the role wasn't quite where it needed to be, but at the time I thought I'm going to take that jump, bring him into the business, and he can help improve systems. He can do the kind of background stuff that I was talking about that I don't really want to do. And that was always the remit for you. And at the time I was still on the tools when he came into business to be the kind of, he had a very varied job role, didn't he? But we call him manager. We did call him manager. So he kind of managed the background side of things, and he set up the systems. He done the purchasing. He looked after all that to let me. So I was still out on site, so maybe working half a day and doing client relationships and meeting clients and driving jobs and doing that. So we probably brought that on too early, but it had to be done. Like there's no way the business was going to move forward unless we done that. So again, I think it's a difficult one for trades business to swallow, because you're always just looking at trying to protect that profit, which I probably had a longer term vision. So brought him in early to try and compensate that, and it worked tenfold.
Yeah,
it did. Yeah,
and actually I was going to ask you, so we'll come back to Stuart and how that worked and all the amazing stuff that you've done together. He's
the only person I've name dropped here.
Thankful, I'm sure. But going back to that first business that you took over, right? So we were talking about that. How did SM Electrical Services start then? So you said it was about 2016.
Yep.
When did that come to life?
So straight there and then, so the plan was to start out SM Electrical Services. But like I said, started on that journey, and then honestly very, very quickly got that opportunity to move on. So when I was saying that about that company, the council contracts, we also done a lot of fire and security work, which I'd kind of dabbled in as an apprenticeship, and I thought, right, that's another nice wee bolt onto the business. So that was part of that. But basically, SM Electrical Services was about to get founded as a sole trader essentially, but we started up the limited business, which took over the.
Right.
I wouldn't name it, obviously, because of what I mentioned about can I get screwed over, but
name it.
Say back if you don't. But took over that business, brought it into the limited business, and then
right, I'm with you now.
So we traded as that business for a period of time until the contracts disappeared. I thought, no, now's the time, just rebrand it all to SM Electrical. It was the original plan. We always would have rebranded it anyway down the line. We really just bought that business I bought it for that council contract that I had. It was that golden nugget that was just too good to looked too good to turn down. So literally took over the business, and then I think 2 or 3 years later, whatever it was, just rebranded the whole business into SM Electrical Services. Business had to go through a full rebrand. I think it was actually around about the kind of COVID time we done the full rebrand. We kind of changed the name and just started to get into that. But the full COVID, I think everyone got a bit more time in their hands, didn't they? So done the full rebrand. Then we didn't more time in the hands. We were busiest ever period.
I was going to ask, what was COVID like for you? Were you rammed?
Sounds bad to say, but brilliant for us in terms of business point of view. Rammed, absolutely rammed. Like, so we do a lot of work in the food and drink industry. So at the time we still do a lot of work in the milk production industry. So just production of food and drink went through the roof in COVID. Everyone at home, and got kind of clients who were doing doorstep milk delivery, and their production just ramped up through the roof. So their business scaled, and we kind of tagged along with it really. Again, just good relationship. We've done all the work with a nominated contractor, and as they grow, they needed more process equipment put in, and we needed upgrades to the site. So we kept on churning through the work during COVID. And I think I only had like a day off the whole time. Probably the most enjoyable period in my working life actually. Again, that was kind of a period where I was trying to get off the tools, but for that whatever that lockdown period was, just went on back on the tools with 2 other guys and just worked on one site basically, just in some of the food sites, and just worked on the tools day in, day out, had no real pressures out with work. Just go to your job, do your electrical job and go home at night.
And
but it helped grow the business, definitely.
Good. And see that whole, like we've spoke about it a few times already on this podcast, right? That saying of like getting off the tools, right? It seems to be the almost like the holy grail that's touted above trades guys and women, to say get off the tools. That's what will transform your business. Like, how hard is it, in your opinion, to get off the tools?
That is tough, yeah. It's very tough. Like, you easily get dragged back in as well. It really takes a mindset to just say, I am not going back in the tools. Like, it took me a long time to really get that mindset. Like, I was still very guilty of, you'd go to a site and you'd say, oh, I've got this quick job needing done. I'll just go and grab the tools out and do it. Because on one hand, I'm here, it's efficient, I'll just do it. And you've got to kind of compromise, because on one hand, you've got to drive everything's efficient, profitable, but you have to kind of shift your mindset to be, well, was my time most valuable? I was like, worth being the tools and doing that job now, or do I move on and go and quote the next job and get through them quicker, and then just let someone follow the job up? So yeah, it is really tough. I can go back to what I was saying earlier on, it's about the letting go part of it. Definitely I would say definitely the hardest. It's just a weird mindset, because you go from so long just doing your job, working your tools, to then trying to go and, if you've got an office, you're working from home, wherever you might be, and to then have that transition of sitting in front of the computer, it is tough. Like, even now, I quite often laugh at, I hate sitting in the office. Absolutely hate it. Like, I can't sit still long enough. So if I'm just in the office for 9 hours, whatever it is, trying to get through stuff, I get bored. And your mind starts to wander, and so you start thinking about things. But no, it is generally tough.
And do you need to change the mindset of your team members as well, around, like, I don't know, maybe somebody's responsible for coordinating resource in the office or whatever, like, I'm no available, don't count me in as resource. Like, you can't look at the schedule and go, well, Stephen could maybe pick up a wee bit of that. It's like, no, I'm out the game. Like,
yeah, so again, that's kind of what I was saying there about it was too easy to just get dragged back in. So yeah, say if I'm talking about shoot again, if it was a job he was running and he needed extra labour on a Friday to try and get the job over the line, he'd go, can you jump in and finish it? And again, at start, you would jump in, you'd help the guys. And on one hand, it was great because you knew the job was get done and finished, but yeah, just to try and keep the business moving, like, it's that old saying, isn't it? Work on the business rather than in, and it is generally so hard to do in a trades business, because it's so easy to get sucked back in. But I think the mindset of letting someone else do the work and almost thinking about what's more, how valuable is your time? How's your time best spent? And it's kind of old saying that the pencil could be your best tool. You know what I mean? By quoting jobs and doing that, and making sure materials are bought on time, make sure jobs are planned right. And I started to quite quickly see the merit in that, rather than just delivering the jobs. I was very good operationally, and most tradesmen are. Tradesmen's strength is they've been there, they've seen it, know how to do the job. It's if they then go to try and run the jobs, that's quite natural for them, for most tradesmen. So especially when you're doing it for yourself and it's your own money in the line, you quite easily see the value in looking after the job, driving the standards, making sure everything's set and the guys are set to the job efficiently. And it's just a mindset change about changing your whole role in the business.
And letting go, that gravitates to a lot of, like myself included, just passing the mantle on. And thinking about your journey then, so COVID was brilliant, right? For work, not brilliant in general, for work. I'll just put that out
COVID. I always caveat, it sounds bad, but yeah, it was brilliant.
I'll just put that out there. So nowadays, I'm going to skip forward a wee bit and I'm going to take you back a wee bit. Nowadays, how many people are in your SM electrical business?
There is 15 of us.
15, which is amazing, right? So when you start thinking about moving off the tools, as you say, it's been challenging, it's gradual. What were the key hires that you made sort of as you went that started to free up your time, started to let you step into?
So it was Stuart, who we spoke about, was the kind of main one. So like I say, brought him in. Essentially the business wasn't quite ready for it, but that let me really kind of, we'd just taken on an office. Again, probably not quite ready for the office yet, but we took it on, brought Stuart in to fill that, and that let me just carry on what I was good at. So kind of goes back to what I was saying, that like it's all about shifting to make sure you're doing the valuable work. So at that time, it was like a bit of a transition, so I knew I was still best out meeting clients, surveying jobs, just dealing with the jobs, making sure that the clients were building up, were happy with what we were doing, and let someone else deal with the background work. So he was the kind of key hire, number one, and to be honest, it worked really well. So from that moment on, I realised, right, delegation is key here. Like, again, if you get burned there and that wasn't the right hire, it'd probably set you back a while. But that's a trust factor. You need to find someone you can trust to do that. Like, to just bring any Tom, Dick, Harry off the street through Indeed or whatever it might be and place them into that important part of your business would be tricky. So it needs to be the right hire, that kind of first management hire. From then, to be honest, it was the right tradesman as well. Excuse me, that was a big part of it. We had some horror stories that first few years of bringing staff in, and they weren't right, or they were bad. They were just bad attitudes, and there's so many stories of bad tradesmen. So yeah, the right tradesmen are key as well. So to be honest, right now we've got a core of all the staff have been here for quite a period of time now. You trust them to do every job well, deal with the clients well. So yeah, the right tradesman's big. We got burned at one point where we kept the one tradesman too long. We knew we probably should have moved them on. If that's the right term for it.
I think that's quite a PC term. Should have got him to fuck.
Far quicker than we did, and it cost us big time. That was a big learning curve. That was actually probably one of the biggest learning curves I've had in business, is holding on to that one member of staff too long. Fucked us and a couple of clients, to be honest. And it was all down to, at the time, we were too busy and with big contracts on and we're all tied up with everything. It was a case of, just leave it. It'll get better next week. He'll have to turn up next week. He won't do that again next week. It's fine. And again, you hear it a lot, that you rely on people around you, don't you? So we relied on him for too long, and mistake after mistake, and one mistake too many, and a couple of clients just went, no more. He's finished. That was a big learning curve to us. But yeah, that's pretty key.
Aye. I mean, mate, see that? Like, I just think really simply, right? I mean, it gets easier in time, but it's never easy to let somebody go. It just isn't, because it's no nice thing to do, right? It's like folk avoid doing it because we're all human, and who wants to do horrible shit, right? But I think you're right. It's like you learn that actually you're putting the rest of the team at risk by continuing to carry somebody
that's... name at risk, that's what I'm saying on. Like, so you guys, the name's in the door. I mean, it's big on that. So you're only as good as your worst employee. Yeah. Definitely. And again, maybe you're saying as well, what kind of helps is the right tradesmen. We're happy to train them, and we've put resource and put money into the right tradesmen to bring them up in the business and to grow. Like, our project manager just now started with us just as an electrician, and he grew up, but electrician to kind of site supervisor to foreman, and then to project manager, and he's off the tools now. So you talk about that journey, there's ways and means to go around it within a business as well. But he's been great.
And see that whole quality standards thing, right? I know you're big on that, and I get it, right? Because realistically, when you're a spark competing against other sparks, there's only so many things that you can do to try and stand out for the crowd, right? But in terms of like maintaining that quality standard, so you've always struck me as somebody that's very detail orientated, right? That kind of comes with the territory when you're dealing with sparks, right? They're just detail focused people you're trained to be. But you're probably another level up to certainly many that we work with, in the sense that, like, if I phone you and say, how's the month gone? You're no scrambling about going, I need to speak to 6 people in my team and look at a board, and you just go, here's the numbers, here's how it's looking, and that's just that attention to detail. So you've obviously got that in abundance, but how do you actually impart that onto like other tradespeople that are working for you so that the quality standards don't slip?
It's a good question. Kind of probably a bit of nurturing as well. Like, not everyone joining the business will be at the standards you expect them to be. Like, and we're big on, some of the guys are probably better at things on the tools than what I was. So it's finding people's strengths and making sure that they're doing what they're strong at, and then any of their weaknesses generally trying to help them on. And like, we're big on, like, if we've got a tradesman working for us and they need help, let us know. We'll help you through it. Like, we're not going to leave someone struggling, but make the same mistake 3, 4, 5 times, we've got a problem, but raise your hand and say, I don't quite know how to do that, or I could do with some help, or what do you think? Like, don't wrong, when you're scaling, it's a bit of a problem, because then it does feel as if everything's going back to you, definitely. But I was quite happy to take that on to make sure that our standards were getting driven across the board. Like, there's no point of doing shit work. I'm big on that. You've heard me saying that. And the kind of the renewables market as well, and there's everything we're trying to do, renewables or commercial, you're only as good as your last job. So if you make a mistake on a job and it looks bad, then you can't use that as a reference point. So.
You've got that visual proof of the work, haven't you?
Yeah,
And
exactly, yeah.
I was going to ask you something as well, Stephen, because you mentioned about like getting the right sparks. That makes sense. Obviously, that's your key service. But when you were stepping out, did you give like staff or roles any sort of targets or parameters to operate in, or like behaviours and things you expect? Did you set all that out, or was it very like individual, one-to-one?
Nothing really as a team. Probably just kind of one-to-one in terms of I set the job out and say, right, this is what you're doing. Like, what do you need off of me? I need this done within 4 days, 5 days, and this is how I want it done. So we'd always spend time to run over the team exactly how we want the job done. Especially initially as well, till you know with your new hires what they're like and what they are. And again, always quite big on giving the tradesmen their opinion as well. So I would say, right, there's loads of big jobs that we've done in the past, but say we've done a job in a school and say, right, guys, this is what I think, this is how I've designed it, this is what I think we should do. What do you think? And there's times they'll have a better way of doing it, and it brings the guys on board. So you want to make sure they're part of it. It doesn't want to be a dictatorship. So it's all well and good me just saying, right, guys, this is how I want the job done, but bring them on board and letting them have an opinion. It kind of keeps everyone interested almost. Obviously it's not about the guys inside don't need to know profit margins and this and that, the business side of it, but you want them to know that their input is valued, and they're the guys out there delivering it. So definitely, but again, it's hard when you initially make the hires and you're not sure. You can't really let people have free rein, but once you get trust in your team, you can definitely let them
takes a bit of time
free rein and
learn what they're like.
Again, just like having that outset, the first few jobs with the right team, they'll learn how you want to do it. You'll get an idea of how they want to deliver the job. Then you'll know going forward, right, I can just leave them to do that. I'll give them the drawings, I'll give them the information pack, and I know they'll deliver it well. It's keeping people involved and making sure they're interested
and collaborating. And one of the things you said earlier actually was, I'm going to ask you a question about that. So when you were an apprentice in construction, you said that you understood that the speed of the job would help the business make more money, right? And now that you're in your own business and you've got your own staff, and some people will be more tenured than others, how do you grapple with that? Do you, because I know that you'll be skilled enough to do jobs quickly, right? And we grapple with this sometimes around maybe not putting too high an expectation on staff to do things as quick as you do. How do you grapple with that?
So again, probably every trades business owner will say this. Initially, I lost so much money through that. Generally lost a fortune. Like going from being the tools day in day out, you'd price a job knowing how long it will take you, because you know your own ability. You know, I'm wiring a socket, it's going to take me this long. What if I see you'd price jobs? So initially, when I first started growing and bringing team members on, you'd price a job and you were guilty of that should take 3 days. And it takes someone 4.5 days. And you're losing a rag thinking, why is that taking so long? But people, it's just natural, like, and this is no disrespect to all the working population out there, they're not going to do things as fast as the business owner is. Like, you will get people who obviously they will graft day in day out, and we're lucky we've got a team who will work hard now. They do, they know they're appreciated that way, but initially, it's like you need to learn. There's a whole difference between what you can do in a day versus what someone else output. And I know that might sound bad to some people, but it is the reality of it, and the pressure's on you to know that job needs done in a day to make the money and to move on to the next job. You will get it done. There's a whole different pressure in that. So yeah, definitely lost money initially with that. So but again, you just learn, don't you? And you learn to adjust, and you just start to know that, right, it's again probably a big part of growing a trades business is, in my opinion, is pricing jobs for what your team will deliver and not what you would have delivered. And that initially, when you're trying to grow the clients and keep everyone on board, you need to be keen on price. So you're happy doing it for the pricing it accordingly to you. But going forward, it's an open marketplace, isn't it? So every other company's in the same ballpark there. So it should be a fair. And it's probably how I won quite a lot of work initially as well, because you're probably cheaper than everyone else, because you know I can do this in 8 hours, it would take someone else 15 hours.
A coach here is often referred to it as velocity. So nobody in your team will ever work at the same velocity as you, and they shouldn't, because it's not their business, right? But the magic number's 70% often. Like if somebody in your team can do it, not even 70% as efficiently, but it's 70% as well as you. Like if you're considering hiring, for example, if you can delegate it, 70%, and buy 70% of your time back, then do it and work with them to to bridge that gap between the 70 and the 100. You'll never get them to 100 and probably never get them to 90. Part of that is just tethering your expectation, I think, as a business owner. Like, why would they work at the same velocity as you? It's no theirs. They're no benefiting for the upside in the same way that you are.
Yeah, everyone's probably get with that at the start as well. When you first started, like, why isn't everyone doing what I'm doing? But then you start to realise, like, I'm the daft to answer my phone and doing emails on holiday and at 9 o'clock at night. Like, would I expect that of anyone else? Like, again, I'm saying, like, you want to go back to saying, don't ask anyone to do something you wouldn't do. And like, as business owners, you always are going to do the stupid things and long hours and so on, but you're not really expecting anyone else to do it. I think initially you just get into this routine of, no, you should work as quick as me. But, but it's all about just the right team will work for you as long as they buy into what you're doing, the vision of the business. And it's about a respect thing as well, isn't it? Like, if they respect you and you respect them back, especially in the trades, like, you need to show them that respect, and you know that they will put in a graft for you. And that's what it's about. Like, generally we appreciate the guys that work with us that way.
Good, mate. Well, we'll get into kind of the split of your business now and maybe how you get involved into the renewable side in particular. But before we do that, like, across the first couple of years to try to get the business going, were you with your missus at the time?
No,
you weren't. I was just going to ask.
Probably what helped. She was actually great initially. When I first got that, sounds bad, but initially, like, the first couple of years, I was just young.
She might listen, so you better recover it. You better recover it.
I was young, daft, just doing your thing again. Like, I was daft boy from doing up to the city lights of Glasgow and loving it. Like, the work was hard, but social life was brilliant. Like, there was some difference to going out and doing. But initially, all I had was work, going out with my mates and going to the football, going on holidays and stuff like that. But then the change of and met the missus and stuff like that. But nothing really changed work wise that way. But the first few years were, even as she's seen it as well, been pretty tough.
I was going to ask that. That was my question. It's can you remember, I don't know whether it's a singular moment or maybe a wee period in the first few years where you felt, well, this is actually fucking working. Like, I feel like I'm getting somewhere here. I'm starting to earn good money. I've maybe got a wee team member or two. Like, it's all coming together.
It's a good question. It's probably different kind of moments, but probably kind of landing what we call the kind of first big kind of direct client we still work with today. Still, like, kind of landing that client at probably at a point where we thought we weren't quite ready for it, and it kind of gave me a bit of optimism. Like, right, it's been shit. Like, we've doing long hours, we got shafted by that business issue, and then kind of really getting somewhere with that client who we thought, right, this could be transformational for the business. And even though it wasn't transformational straight away, I could see it that it was going to be transformational for the business. So probably at that point, really thought, right, this is going to work. Like, I've been through this shit and I've proved that I can work hard and talk the right way and impress the right people and get there. So probably landing that kind of first big client who, like, so we still work with.
Were you doing subcontracted commercial work first? Like, so somebody else would win the work and you would then be the subcontractor, then you started winning direct work? Or were you just balls deep straight into winning your own work in the commercial space?
Different. This is where you might ask me this later on, but our business is structured a bit differently. Where the kind of direct subcontracted work to, like, main contractors isn't really our focus, because that's probably the easy way. That is part of the easy way to grow an electrical contracting business. Like, you can go out there and price work for main contractors like builders and so on, and they might have you pricing against 4 or 5 others, but if you can be cheap and competitive, you will win the work. But that never really was the aim for the business. We wanted to kind of really be growing and doing our own direct to client, is what I call it, direct to client work.
Is that just because the margin's better, you're no dealing with one person who then deals with the end client, or was that just the way you wanted to do it, like, for your own?
There's no getting away. The margins are better on it, and it's your own work. You can kind of control. You will get less volumes. It depends what your business model is. Like, going to the subcontractor market, working for main contractors, it's more volatile. Like, it can be great work. Don't get me wrong, we've had great jobs throughout it through the years. Like, done well out of jobs. Done bad in some, but it's all down to your own performance. But as a volatile market, you've got to be the cheapest. You've got to deliver on time. You're not really in control of program. You're not in control of really your own workforce. Through no fault of your own, you can have a contracts manager phoning you on a Monday morning saying, I need 3 guys here. And you look at the program. Well, we're not programmed for another week. Oh, it doesn't matter. I've moved the program forward.
Right.
And it's that type of world that I kind of thought, it works, and we do it, and it works well for us. But it's not really where we didn't want to be doing £4 or £5 million of that, for example. That's, in my opinion, a bit of a risk, but so many companies do it and they do well. But it's that fine margin of enjoying what you're doing as well. You're not really dictated by anyone else. Like with our direct to client work, you're in charge, you're in control. We set the dates, we set the parameters. We know we're just working within our own confines, really.
And a hot topic at the minute, or it feels like it's a hot topic, you'll be able to tell me, but optics wise on social media, I'm seeing loads and loads of rhetoric at the minute around payment terms and folk not being paid, and you do hear of businesses going under as a result of maybe signing up to a wee 90-day payment term and then it just doesn't quite bottom out. Is that something that you've grappled or struggled with in that world? Is that a real challenge in your business as well?
It is a massive struggle, yeah. And again, especially for a growing trades business, you could easily get burned pretty quickly if you try and just really go into that subcontractor model, because if you're not used to valuations, retentions, making contractor discounts, all the terms that they'll throw around, which are standard to the industry, it's never going to go away. But the cash flow implications are pretty tough. Like on some of these subcontractor jobs, you're essentially cash flowing the job for the main contractor. And again, it's not a dig at them, that's the way the world operates, unfortunately. Like if you want to buy into that and you want to do the work, you just need to ride it. But it is tough. Like for example, we could do a £200,000 job and you'll constantly maybe be about 40 to 50 days, if not more, out on cash, the way it works. Like say April, you could do a 200 grand job, you could do 50 grand of that value within the month of April. You might not get to submit your valuation until the end of April, start of May, and then you just go to the quantity surveyor to what they call certify. So they'll then assess the account. They'll then come back to you and give you your payment notice. It could be mid-May, but then your payment notice is 30 days later. So then all of a sudden, so that could be into June before you get paid for that. So
you mentioned a couple of things there actually, just for the people who, like myself, who maybe don't quite know the term. So valuation, retention. So let's use that 200 grand job, just the fictional job, right? Talk to us about like a standard commercial agreement in that sense, day one to payday, in those terms that you mentioned.
Okay, so payment terms will vary. Client on client, obviously, so it'd be like 30 days, 60 days, and people will try 90 days as well. But say a 200 grand job, it will be, you'll do 4 weekly evaluations, so you basically claim percentages of the work done to date.
With you.
So it will all be broken down to say basic first fix, second fix, distribution boards, just different elements of the electrical project. You'll then claim month on month for the percentage of that. So you could get to the end of month, claim 50% of first fix, second fix will be nil, obviously. So that's your valuation. You then submit that to QS, which is the quantity surveyor. They'll work for the main contractor. They then need to agree that account with their end client, who's technically not your end client, but they've still got to agree that account. Retention values will differ. It'll either be between 2.5% to 5% retention. So say you submit a valuation for round number £10,000, you will then be expected to reduce that by 5%, and that's got retention held for the defects period. So normally it will work that if it's 5%, 2.5% of that value will be released on practical completion. So basically when the architect signs off that the building is habitable for use, and the final 2.5% will be payable either on 6 months or 12 months after the contract period. So think of the margin involved in that in these subcontracting works. If I know companies out there work for 5% margin on £1 million jobs. It might sound good, but that's where the cash flow issue comes in, because if we're doing, say, a £200,000 job, month one you value it at £10,000, 5% of that is coming straight off. It's only what's that, £500? So only £500 of that is, my maths right now? Yeah, it's only £500 that's coming off straight away. But over the period of that £200,000 job, 5% of that value is coming off, and that's of the overall value, not of your margin. So if you're trying to work to a 5-10% margin overall, and they're pulling 5% straight away, and you've got to wait 12 months to get that, if your jobs don't perform, that's when you get into cash flow difficulties. Main contractor discounts, the other one I mentioned. That's basically it's been around for years and people will moan about it, but again, you price the job at 200 grand, the main contractor will expect a discount off of that just straight off the bat. So then that's how they try and recover there.
Why? Just because they can? Really?
Aye, pretty much. Yeah. You either want the work, you don't. And it will vary, but don't know. People aren't daft to that. Like most people just had to turn that back on. It's it's a kind of courtesy.
It's a cat and mouse game.
Yeah, it's just cat and mouse.
Aye.
But then the problem is you'll get when you price it and include for that 2.5 discount, and then they try and get 4 or 5 out of you, and then it's that kind of decision on, do we want this job, and you don't really have a leg to stand on. You can negotiate that, but it's that volatile. They'll just go to the next person, unless you've got that real good relationship with them.
Oh my god!
But
honestly, even just that explanation, honestly,
again, that's. Again, I was probably quite lucky in terms of how my apprenticeship was brought up and around that family business. I was always used to the terms. I always heard about the terms, and even though the family business didn't do much contracting work, so they weren't really involved in that, but you always just knew about it and knew how it operated. Whereas to be an electrician, to be a plumber, to be anything, to come off the tools and get involved in that and get wrapped up in that world, if you don't remember it, you don't know about it, you could quite easily get
I
a lot of money. And
I could see how that could be challenging.
It's a whole different ball game. You could go from being a tradesman, you could be the best tradesman in the world, but then to try and start dealing with that, you end up being a tradesman, business owner, quantity surveyor. You need to manage your finance, you need to do everything. It's tough. It really is.
There's a lot. Like I'm quite happy I asked that. I don't know if you knew as much about that, but I've learned loads for that one explanation there.
I always knew it was a challenge because, as I said, I see and hear the rhetoric and the chat about it online and how challenging it's becoming. And
like the payment terms are saying, like that example, payment terms are brutal. I was going to say that, like, say in the month of April you've done, can't remember what number you say, 20 grand worth of work, but that could be materials and labour. If you're full weekly wages, chances are all the wages will either be paid out in April or start of May. All your materials you'll normally be in a 30-day account. So our suppliers, you could 10 grand of that could be materials purchased. It needs paid by the end of end of May, so 30 days from the end of the month. So by the time you actually get paid off the client, less your 5%, less your main contractor discount, you're out of pocket. So you're financing that £20,000 for a period of 2 or 3 weeks, if not more.
Is there
so you need the cash needs to be behind the business, and that's where cash flow is tight. And
that's what I was going to ask. Actually, do you just need to have the cash as a business to almost foot the bill for that, to claim it back, or is there like a finance, like is there something you can access to help you with cash flow to get through that?
You know, options are really either you've got cash in the bank built up through obviously your profit you've made throughout however long, or you can invoice finance it, I suppose. But then again, you're just losing an extra % off of that. Or dip into your overdraft. That's, again, you're just getting penalised for that, aren't you? So yeah, it's a tricky world, and that's why there's businesses out there who, especially in the past, will have unfortunately went under through cash flow issues, not through profitability. But you could see on their jobs that might be averaging really good margins, but they might have had one job that's ran on by 2 or 3 months, especially in your kind of larger scale commercial projects, and that cash flow pressure, not getting the money out of that, and then waiting for other jobs. Maybe they have 1 or 2 jobs that go wrong, and it compounds, doesn't it? So
I was going to say that world. Actually, it's almost like the bigger the job you win, almost the more risk that's posed to you, like, because you need more materials, more guys to fit it. Your bill's just bigger and bigger and bigger.
Your kind of prelims as well, your management fees and stuff like that as well, that you probably don't appreciate. Again, when you're just starting out, you don't really realise how much management time goes into managing these projects. So unless you factor that into your overhead rate, you will lose money out of that as well. But yeah, it's like, you're right, the bigger job, the lower the margin becomes. And yeah, the trickier it is.
And do you do that for the business in terms of keeping an eye on, right, we've reached that kind of trigger point / quality gate or whatever it's called, send them a bill, get that money in, or do you have somebody that does that for you?
So I'll do all the valuations, but I'll do that in kind of partnership with a project manager. So say he's just finished a job through Lithgow, so he's ran that start to finish. I've not been on the job at all. It was £66,000. Not had to touch it. He's delivered it perfectly, but I'll just sit with him. I'll say, right, we'll have it mapped out. Valuation date is in 5 days' time, so we'll sit together. Where's that job at? What are the percentages at? And what he'll quite often do is he'll input the percentages. I'll do the financials of it and make sure it all marries up. So yeah, I will still be in charge of the larger contracts financials, but with the assistance of the project manager.
All right, mate. Well done for carrying that hat.
It's a headache.
I bet it is. Well, that maybe segues us across nicely to maybe have a bit of a blather about your renewables division. Firstly, how did that come to be? Like, where did that originate from? Was it work that you were passing on to somebody else at some point and then thought, why am I doing this? I could do that myself. Or?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. So we would work in a new build house, whatever it might be, and part of the contract would be the solar. We would just always exclude it from our quote, or any renewables at the time. We would do the main electrical supplies, but we'd always exclude it because it is a different trade essentially. So we'd always exclude it, and then when that had been kind of 2 or 3 years ago, when like solar really took an upturn, you probably know that.
Yeah.
2022, I want to say.
It was around the kind of the
So
war
that's
time,
big.
wasn't it?
Aye,
Yeah. So we never really get involved. I always thought it'd be good to maybe deliver it, but was the volume there? Was it worth it? It kind of goes back to maybe what I was saying earlier on about it's not really worth our time just now. Like, why you go and do the courses and do the accreditations if we're not getting much volume out of it? Always subbed it out, and then at that point, kind of 2022, seen an opportunity in the market. And at the time, I thought we were kind of well positioned that we either had to go two ways in the business. We either really had to push on with the contracting side of the business and grow the business that way, or we try and push on and move into the renewables market. And I thought I kind of seen a bit of a niche that we were a decent sized business. We had systems, we had office team. We weren't a small contractor, but we weren't a massive contractor. So we kind of fall in a niche of, we're trying to say that if we were a big contractor, you might not have bothered with the headache of going back the way, starting from the ground up, building a renewables team, getting the marketing in place and doing all that sort of things. Whereas if you're a 1 or 2 man band, you've got your wee niche, you're doing well, you're not going to stretch to then have to employ sales staff and kind of deal with marketing agencies and so on. So we found ourselves to be in a niche that we thought we could really find a place in the market for it and do well.
Right. And I know how the first period went for you, but you know, for those that are listening and maybe interested and potentially in the same trade, talk us through how that first period went in renewables for you.
I'm laughing because it was so bad. I have used the term a lot. We were installing well but selling shit. Like that was a big wake up call. We spent a long time paying for advertising, doing marketing, and really not doing it properly. Like trade background is great, growing a contracting business is great, but to move into sales is a whole different ball game. And
it's like proper high ticket sales.
It's sales. It's the only way to say it. Like, as good as my apprenticeship was, as good as that upbringing was, seeing a family business, there was none of that involved. So it was a whole different world. So I always say that we were installing great, but selling shit. Like, we weren't getting much volume, but the jobs we were doing great. They were perfect. They were working. You could post photos of them. You get praise for them online because it was technically spot on. But we had no processes. We had nothing in place for selling. It was really bad.
And for anybody that's listening, like, that is exceptionally common. You know, it just is. Like, some electrical businesses, I guess, are blessed in the sense that maybe they have a business partner that's came for that world. You know, they've maybe done something in doors, conservatories, windows, where it's like hardcore high ticket sales, and then you've got the other business partner that's a tech head in between both. It works quite well, but that's probably by exception. Most are folk like you who have came through an apprenticeship, a trade, doing really well in a trades business, and then see the opportunity like you did, but suddenly they're then into that world of like, oh, I need to like qualify appointments and set appointments, and then I need to set the appointments, and then I need to design and quote, and then I need to follow up, and that's just you don't get taught that in school.
No, you don't get taught that in college or anything either. It's not about that. It's because it was delivering standards. But you're right. Like, if there was 2 of you there, and one's a sales background, one's a tech background, you'd fly from day one. Like, well, you should in theory. But it was an eye opener, put it that way. Like, totally different to anyone would ever done. Like, we were trying to sell on how technically good we were. So we were going out there and going to a customer's house and selling them the dream about, we will install it this way, this is the exact cable route we'll do, and specifying the nuts and bolts to them straight away, thinking that was great. And don't get me wrong, we definitely won business through that. People did appreciate that, but in terms of en masse, you couldn't justify that all the time. And we were then, say we get a lead through, we would then phone it or text it or email, however we're trying to make contact. We then arrange a site survey, go out to the site survey, go through the nuts and bolts, every little bit of their job, the system. This is obviously for the kind of solar side, like, go back to the office, design it perfectly, quote it perfectly, give them the quote, and we would then just wait for them to come back to us. We thought that we've given them everything we need. Like, we've told them how we do the job, we've told them how good we are. Without, you never go to a customer's house and be arrogant, obviously, but you need to portray that confidence that we are good at what we're doing. And we just thought that was enough to get us by. It also wasn't. Like, we had no follow-up process in place. Like, I think by the time we really started doing it properly, looking back, thinking we've had these leads quoted so many £100,000 worth of work and never won anywhere near what we should have, because we've not followed it up and we've not done anything properly. It was only really when we kind of came to kind of crunch time with Stuart I was talking about earlier, with kind of him, but it was just before Christmas one year, and we really sat down and thought in the office, like, what are we doing? Why do we need to stop doing this? Because we're wasting money, like the ad spend, the marketing fees, everything was literally just pissing up against the door, really, wasn't it? There was no return on it. And my point was, I need to stop what we're doing and just concentrate on the contracting side, or really double down and do this properly. And thankfully, kind of I made that decision to double down and do it properly. And once we kind of knuckled down and started learning about sales, because we had no idea about sales. Like, I didn't. Stuart came from a bit of a sales background in a electrical wholesale world, so he'd done business to business sales, but his sales coming to him in his previous employment would be companies like an electrical contractor come saying, I need 10 grand worth of material, just give me your best price. And that's how it would work. So we had no real sales experience between the two of us. So yeah, we really had to learn pretty quickly.
And listen to you go through that period, because the period you're talking about was before we met you, I think, wasn't it? And it's quite refreshing, because you seem to have taken a step back and analysed it through the lens of, because you were investing in marketing, and you kind of took it in-house and went, right, this is an us problem, how do we fix it? How did you do that? Like, because a lot of people can't see the wood for the trees. And what I've noticed, not just in the electrical and the solar, but all trades, is that tradesmen, a lot, in some sense, the ones that I've met, a few out there, can be amazing at blaming everybody else apart from themselves. Yeah. Right? The world's against me, you know. How did you actually break that mould and go, right, we've got a problem here, let's fix it?
Just like I said, you said earlier on, kind of detail orientated. I'm looking at thinking, I'm not making any money here. Like, everyone's in business to make money, so you're looking at, right, this is just a sinking ship. So really just sat and looked at, right, with all these leads in, and we actually sat and analysed that, yes, we've quoted all them, but did we actually follow them up? Like, why have they went elsewhere? And probably, like, we're kind of maybe come on to it shortly about how we started training and kind of getting some assistance with it, but initially it was just like, let's assess the opportunity and what are we not doing, and are we still confident there's an opportunity there? And to be honest, there's not too much science to it at the time. It was just, are we confident that there's still a business to be had and a revenue stream? Yes, we are. Okay, what do we need to do to fix it? We actually need to start selling jobs. It was as simple as that. Like, we weren't selling. There was nothing else really. There was not much detail we got into, because, like, so we weren't tracking anything. We didn't have follow-up rates. We didn't even know what a conversion rate was at the time. Like, that to me was alien back then. It was just really looking at the nuts and bolts of, is there an opportunity? Yes. And why aren't we getting that? Because we're not selling jobs. So how do we go and fix that?
I think you're right, Barry, in the sense that it becomes really easy for loads of them, for example, to just go, it's just the leads, or it's the marketing company, so get shot of them, and they bounce from one to the other, and it just never ends. There's never that pause that you clearly had to go, is it them? Is it us? Yeah. Like, if it's us, what are we doing to fix it here, rather than just bouncing between suppliers and hoping that that'll fix it? What was the thing that then fixed it? We know what it was, right? But like, you and Stuart have obviously sat down, looked at it. The data's telling you we're getting opportunities, we're just not converting them. Like, what was your solution? How did you go about training the team?
So before we come on to what the final fix was, there was a wee bit of a fix initially that kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier on about delegating. So we looked at it and thought, right, why are we not winning the jobs? What do we need to do better? We need to be following up. We need to be chasing quotes. So we made the decision to employ someone in the office, just to, not a high level position, just to basically be a bit of an administrator in an office, but to be a sales administrator, we called it. So just to basically create a CRM, make sure, and at the time it was an Excel spreadsheet, just to literally just track leads. So we started that from, like, I think we spoke about that before Christmas. In January we put the advert out, employed someone. So end of January, start of February we started that, and again it got better over maybe a 5-month period that we were at least tracking our leads. We were doing follow up, and between me and Stuart we would quote the jobs and survey it, and then the person in the office would then just follow up and keep a track of things. So that was the first sign of, right, we're getting somewhere but still not getting much traction.
Is that the same person that does
no,
that?
No, it was someone before.
Right.
Yeah. We then kind of got to around about May time, thought that's still not really getting where we want to be. Again, still an opportunity. We've done better, but has the needle really moved? Like, yeah, well, at least we're getting a bit of return on investment, but it's not really where we want it to be. So we thought, right, well, I can have made a decision, right, there must be someone out there that can help us. And again, being naive, never been involved in sales before. I'd never even been in a sales office, like, never been in a call centre or anyone selling anything, didn't know how it worked. So we reached out to a couple of different people for sales training and such. Got in touch with Peter at Sales Geek, and had a kind of good chat with Peter, and yeah, he liked what they said. Don't get me wrong, it's quite an outlay for the business, and again that was again a point where we had to either do things properly or relook at the business model, and again we decided to just keep investing. So probably lucky that we'd done quite well over a period of time, and we had money to be able to, not endless pots of cash, no one does, but we had money to be able to really invest and try and grow it. So yes, we brought in sales consultants who basically ripped us apart, literally ripped us a new one, told us everything we were doing wrong, and built us from the ground up. And for that solar side, the best thing we've ever done.
Yeah, brilliant.
Second
best thing. Even the jolly. They actually built us up from the ground, stripped us down and built us back up.
But I think it's quite, because we know you quite well now. We've been working together. I think we came on board after Peter, I think.
So we engaged with Sales Geek around about May, and I think we moved to yourselves about September.
September.
That's about right.
Even when we moved to yourselves, things still weren't brilliant, and we're still not brilliant to this day. Like, we can always do better. Like, we have great periods, we have slightly slower periods, like same as every business, but especially it's more structured now, and more you can forecast it a bit better, and it's been a whole change in the business. Like,
there was definitely when we came on board, there was small signs of you starting to gain a bit of momentum. In the sense that, like, to your point, I think maybe in the 9 months prior to you getting Sales Geek involved, you were, picking up one here, a couple there, but then you were doing, a couple a month. So there was like signs that momentum was really starting to build.
Yeah, it was always going to take time, but it was just the structure. There was no structure there. Like, that's probably been the biggest learning curve in the whole business journey, because it's now a totally different business to what it was 12 months ago. And getting that in your head as a tradie, the electrician, moving off the tools and then trying to transition into that, it's just totally different. You need structure in place. And without it, you just unless you're lucky and you're doing it all yourself. Again, it's a scalability thing. If I was willing to do all that myself, we could maybe have done it sooner, but something would have suffered somewhere in the business. And doing it all yourself, you're never going to scale it properly. So
it's harder, and I think it's like you mentioned, we invested, we sought help, we reviewed, right? These are things that are notoriously difficult for founders of businesses to do at times. I mean, when we got in business before that point, I used to struggle to kind of see the wood for the trees, to use the phrase I used earlier. But how did you kind of get that awareness? I would call it being aware of your business, to know that, right, we need to get an expert here, or we need to invest here. Where did you get that sort of awareness from?
I don't really know. To be honest, I think just profit and loss. Just realising I wasn't making money, and again, it's the bottom line, isn't it? Really, you want to build a sustainable business, but you want to be able to make sure it's profitable. And just looking at it, going, we're not making any money here.
The data doesn't lie.
The data doesn't lie. It wasn't even making money; it was losing money, and it was dragging down the rest of the business. And just stepping back and thinking, right, we need to fix it. And am I the person to fix it? No, because I don't know what I'm talking about. There's literally probably maybe that's the big point in it. Maybe the awareness of me standing back and going, I can't fix it because I don't know how to fix it. And that's what it's been a big learning curve that Peter and his kind of colleagues have come in and really just they've restructured the business, but they also taught me what to track and how to track it, and a whole new way of thinking about sales, because we've went from being a contracting business to trying to transition to be a sales business, and it honestly is a total different ball game. And so one thing, I need to be all into it. In my opinion, I need to be all in and really try it, or you don't. You can't dabble in it. Like,
even simple things, mate, like holding marketing agencies to account. Again, that's not something that you're certainly not taught that in school. You're probably not taught it as part of an apprenticeship. And actually, even tenured business owners that have worked with agencies for years, I suspect, still actually don't really know how to hold an agency to account. They just accept that what's coming in is good and it's profitable, but they probably don't really understand the mechanics, what we're responsible for in terms of delivery for you. Whereas again, I just get an innate sense that you're really tapped into that, and like you do a good job at holding us to account on our part. And I think that just drives a bit of mutual respect. We know what we're responsible for, you know what you're responsible for. And I also get a sense that like when the marketing's doing its job, but the conversion on your side, it's like, right, we could be doing a better job here. Where a lot of trades owners fall into that trap is like, well, it's them, it's lead quality, we need to get that sorted. Having that innate sense to go, maybe it is actually us, maybe it's our side. Like, I don't know, I feel like that sets up the relationship nicely. But listen, we've got 5 minutes left, so I just want to talk to you a bit briefly about the future of ASM Electrical Services. So what's the grand vision, mate? I'm not going to do the whole bullshit, what does the next 3, 5, 10 years look for, but what is your vision long term for the business? What's the plan?
Plan is just to carry on growing, to be honest. There's no plan for us to have 100 staff or anything like that. It's to be a good business, a good profitable business, and to really focus on that renewables market. We've still got so much to go in that. Generally, do I think we've still only just touch the surface or scratch the surface on that side. So, yeah, we also want to grow the team. We're still trying to bring in apprentices, which I was talking about my apprenticeship. So we've got apprentices on board just now who we're trying to train to make sure they're the next good staff to come into SM Electrical. So big focus on that, training the right team, having the right team. But yeah, just the plan is to keep on growing sustainably and really just keep on driving the renewables market. We've got something brewing to try and add to that as well. And yeah, just really try and grow the sales and yeah, get more teams on the road doing solar. I know it's quite a vague way to say it all, but it's really just to keep on. We enjoy that side of the business, so we really want to drive that and try and grow the turnover of the business in that renewables market rather than going and really driving the contracting side. So it's been a bit of a pivot, but yeah, there's a number in our head that we want to hit next year, and there's a number in our head that I want to hit the following year. But yeah, if we can hit them, which I think is achievable, we can then reassess. Like, I'm not a big believer in setting 10-year plans or even 5-year plans. Yeah, it's all good to be able to target, but even ever since I started out, it's always been a year or 2 years ahead. And it might sound short-sighted to people, but you never know what next year holds as well. Like, it's all well and good planning for getting to £10 million, whatever it's going to be. But if you can't handle £3-4 million, you need to address the problems that are there. So yeah, just sustainable growth, to be honest, is the name of the game. Probably a boring answer, but it's...
Listen,
look, boring business is good business. We've said that a few times.
Exactly.
you want a less chaotic life.
It's, again, sounds cliche, but just enjoy it as well. Like, generally have been enjoying it recently. Like, every trades business owner probably hates their business at times because you're in it and you're working in it, whereas now I'm probably getting the time to work on it now rather than in it. So carry on enjoying it and yeah, see where it goes. But
good, mate. Well, congrats to you and the team. You know, like it's actually quite strange for me to hear stories of you like being on. I've never seen you as like a being on the tools type trades owner. I think you're quite astute and you know you're sharp. I like working with you because you're just smart. You get it. But you have clearly done a brilliant job, like building it from nothing to everything that you're doing now. So keep at it, mate. And we'll keep doing our wee part to help you on the renewable side. So
do your bit, help as well, yeah. So
well,
doing just now. So
if you've made it to this point in the podcast, well done as always. Listening to 3 dodgy Glaswegians, 2 marketing agency guys and a spark. Cheers for tuning in. As always, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. If you've not liked and subscribed and done all that jazz yet, like what are you doing? Go on, give our pages a follow, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back soon with another wee episode. Oh, sorry, before I wrap up, a money can't buy, thank you, Steven. A lovely green and white Tammy.
I don't know how I feel about that.
So I expect to see you in it plenty in the coming winter months.
The colours line up compared to the green and white. So thank you very much.
Thanks for coming
Cheers
on, mate.
Cheers for coming on, mate. Cheers, thank you.